So measures are being introduced in Britain to prevent the spread of a respiratory virus from China. Officials will meet flights arriving at Heathrow Airport from the Wuhan region where the infection originated, and air crews will be asked to pass on warnings of sickness amongst passengers. Well, 9 people are known to have died in China and 440 others have been infected. BBC reporter Kerry Allen gave me more details.
Well, the figures have been jumping up throughout the day, so they're nearly at 500 now, but a lot of media in China are reporting that there are over 440 confirmed cases, and this is because there was a press conference today where big hospital officials said that that was the case. There have also been 9 confirmed deaths now.
And how is the outbreak actually being reported there now?
It's interesting. It's the one dominant story today in China. I mean, literally just looking through the newspapers and broadcasters, this is all anybody's talking about. But at the same time, the government wants to try and keep people calm because it's Spring Festival. And it's almost like China's version of Christmas. So it's a time where everybody travels home to see their families. They make food together. They spend a lot of quality time together. And they don't want to be thinking of something terrifying like a potential epidemic that's spreading throughout the country. So there's been a lot of emphasis in media reports on how well the hospital professionals throughout the country are dealing with this. When these new cases are coming up all over the country, how they're responding and how people are quickly being treated in isolation, and how a number of people have been cured, so they say, and released after receiving treatment. So there's emphasis on this as opposed to the negative, we could have a crisis on our hands reporting.
Is there a suspicion, do you think, that the authorities are underplaying it at the moment?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Last week there were only cases in Wuhan and 2 cases in both Thailand and Japan. So one of the big questions that was coming up last week was, well, everybody in China is travelling all at the same time. How come we're not hearing about this in other cities? And then what happened on Monday was that a very senior official said, if you are delaying your reports on this, officials in different regions, there was a good line like, you'll be nailed to the wall of shame of history or something. So officials were really spooked by this. They realised they could lose their jobs. And this is why it suddenly looks like these figures have raised suddenly. There may have been suspected cases throughout China already, but we've been seeing the figures just suddenly triple, hundreds suddenly reported overnight. And it's possible that there were cases that local governments were keeping quiet about up until this week.
And is there any indication as to where this virus has come from? I know that a market was originally pinpointed.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that came out in the press conference today. So they were saying that it originated in a market that sold illegal wild animals, and one of the big propaganda campaigns that's coming out in official media, there have been a lot of posters saying, don't use these markets, they should be shut down. Try not during this time to buy animals full stop from markets. So try and stay away, stay at home with your family and have a good time, but don't put yourself unnecessarily at risk.
How much evidence is there now? I know they said they do think it is spreading from human to human. Is there a lot of evidence to back that up?
There is some evidence. I mean, one of the things that people have been expressing concern about online in China, the platform Sina Weibo, which is, it's like Facebook or Twitter in China. So people were discussing the fact that at least 15 medical professionals have contracted the virus. So that kind of proved that it could spread, and there was concern about this. At the same time, this emphasis that people are being cured and that hospitals are treating this. Yeah, there's a real downplaying of it. Obviously, people are still travelling, so there is a concern that we are going to be hearing more cases. But with the deaths that have been reported, the ones that we know a lot about are, there's an emphasis on them being elderly, particularly vulnerable, and spending a lot of time around markets with animals. So the media is saying that this is not a huge concern to people of all ages. In fact, today in the press conference, they were emphasising that young people are very, very low risk. It's more elderly people and people who are susceptible to illnesses.
People who are being advised not to travel to Wuhan region in the meantime, are they likely to heed that given its holiday period?
Probably not, no. One of the difficulties, though, I've been to Wuhan a number of times. It's got a huge airport that's used a lot for transit. So if you're traveling, say, from Shanghai or Beijing and you want to get to Western China, or you want to go to places like, say, Thailand or Vietnam, you do stop over in Wuhan. It's got this massive airport and a lot of people travel through there. And the authorities didn't really secure this in time. I mean, the travel period for people celebrating Spring Festival actually began last week. So people have already finished work, they're already traveling. And at the same time, there are also these rumors coming out that, at least in one hospital, one patient has actually run away. So it's a big country with a big population. These kind of levels of control, even though the government is trying to keep up with them, it's conscious that a lot of people are on holiday, and it is very difficult to get people not to go somewhere if they want to go somewhere.
That's Kerry Allen reporting, and we'll have more on that virus later in the programme.